WTBR FM Pittsfield. Good morning and welcome to Ham on WTBR FM. My name is Peter. I will be your host, and sitting across from me,
hi everyone,
is Jessica, who's the co-host for this show. So let's. This is a ham radio show. We're going to talk about everything and anything that is ham radio related, and throw in some CB and some shortwave and all of that. So let me give you a little background. To balance things out, Jessie is not a ham, but she's lived with the hams.
No, I'm not. I know how to take the test. I know how to do all that nifty stuff. I just really can't control being nervous on the radio, as you can tell, or mostly what I say. But I'm slowly getting used to it. I mean, I can take the test. It's really easy. Really, really easy. I actually helped my mother go ahead and become a tech and then later a general. So I know very well how to go ahead and take the test.
So, yeah. And me, I am Kilo Delta 2 Juliet Kilo Victor, the Assistant Section Traffic Manager for Western Massachusetts, among other things that we will get into. So let's start the show. Let's talk about what else? Dorian.
Oh, yes, Dorian. Oh, my goodness. This nightmare fuel of a freaking hurricane. I can't believe this.
And it's burning itself out, or it burned itself out and kind of rejuvenated. But let's give you a little hint. Everybody watching the Weather Channel and doing all the mainstream has been in on it. We're going to tell you what the ham ops have been in on it. And first of all, for those who are listening to the Hurricane Net and the amateurs that are listening, FEMA has announced that channels 1 and 2 of the 60-meter band will be made available as necessary beginning September 2nd for interoperability between the federal government stations and U.S. amateur radio stations involved in Hurricane Dorian emergency communications. They will remain active until the storm is past and the need for the channels no longer exists. Channel 1, 53332 kilohertz channel center, will be available for primary voice traffic. 5332 kilohertz channel center, 5330.5 kilohertz USB. Channel 2 is 5348 kilohertz channel center. Will handle digital traffic. 5346. 0.5 USB with a 1.5 kilohertz offset to center of digital waveform. Radio amateurs must yield to the operational traffic related to Hurricane Dorian. Although the intended use of these channels is interoperability between federal government stations and U.S. amateur radio stations, federal government stations are primary users and amateurs are secondary. So that's a little update, but let's talk about what's going on with Hurricane Maria. Also, with the Bahamas, they're hurting, and there's going to be for you non-hams. Hopefully, you guys can be able to get to redcross.org, get some training, and maybe get out there and help them. I was listening to the Hurricane WatchNet over the weekend, and there was really not a lot coming out of the Bahamas for Dorian, but we'll keep up on that. Also in Dorian news, the FCC grants a temporary waiver permitting use of PACTOR 4 for hurricane response and relief. The FCC has granted ARRL's emergency request for a temporary waiver to permit only those radio stations, those radio amateurs active and involved in Hurricane Dorian response and relief. Efforts to use the PACTOR 4 digital protocol on HF. The waiver is valid through 2100 UTC on Friday. September 6th. The waiver request was necessary because Section 97.307F of the FCC's Amateur Radio Service Rules limits digital data emissions of amateur stations operating below 28 megahertz to a symbol rate not to exceed 300 bauds, and in the 10-meter band 28.0 to 28.3 megahertz to a symbol rate not to exceed 1200 bauds, which precludes Factor 4 emissions. And for you non-hands, we'll kind of explain a little bit of this as we go on. Factor 4 is a data protocol that permits relatively high-speed data transmission in the HF bands, and many amateur stations active in emergency communications preparedness are capable of using this protocol. The ARRL told the FCC the FCC granted a waiver for the use of Factor 4 during 2017 Hurricane Maria relief effort, and more recently in preparing for typhoon relief communications in Hawaii.
Wow.
The ARRL told the FCC that the higher data rates offered by Factor 4 are critical to sending hurricane relief communications, including lists of needed and distributed supplies. The Factor 4 waiver only applies to radio amateurs directly engaged in hurricane relief. Efforts involving the U.S. mainland, it does not extend to non-emergency communications. ARRL pointed out that the stations involved in Hurricane Dorian response and relief efforts must be able to communicate with one another as well as the federal stations on the 5 channels of the 5 megahertz band involved with the Shares Network and other interoperability partners. On those frequencies, ARRL told the FCC FEMA has announced Channel 2, 5348 kilohertz channel center, of the 60-meter band will be made available as necessary for digital interoperability between federal government stations and U.S. amateur radio stations involved in Hurricane Dorian. Emergency communications. Channel 1 will be available for single sideband interoperability. ARRL noted that its Factor 4 waiver request to the FCC was without prejudice to the resolution of docket 16239, which is presently pending and addresses the rule section discussed herein. ARRL had requested a 30-day waiver, but the FCC said it would entertain requests for an extension of the waiver and is on an as-needed basis. So in a nutshell, the FCC is giving us the ability to use Factor, which is an older protocol. Don't really use it so much, but it worked well in Hurricane Maria, especially with the way propagation is. Digital signals will go a little bit better and a little bit easier than, let's say, HF phone signals, and that's why they're doing that. But let's segue here for a moment. We've actually had a kind of a bad summer.
Oh, I know. Tell me about it.
As soon as I can find the list, but yeah.
Let me see. We had a water spout in Long Island, New York, a couple of weeks ago. That was kind of crazy. For those of you that don't know what a water spout is, it's basically a on-water tornado. That's not cool. It started as a tornado on water and then said, "Screw it, I'm gonna crawl up on land." No.
Yeah. Here, I actually brought up a list of how bad this summer really was, and we're talking around this region here. On confirming what Jesse just said, on September 2nd, the National Weather Service has now confirmed that a tornado touched down on Long Island on Labor Day afternoon. The tornado touched down in eastern Suffolk County in Marineville, just north of Route 27, the Sunrise Highway, in the area of Dayton Avenue, from 4:33 p.m. to 4:38 p.m. Monday, September 2nd. The EFO-0 tornado had winds of 85 miles an hour and traveled roughly 1.6 miles across Maynardville, the National Weather Service said. On August 21st, In New York State, we had an EF1 tornado that touched down in Saratoga Springs and in Johnstown in Fulton County.
Yeah, the Saratoga one wasn't actually far from the racetrack. That's scary in and of itself, you know? There are few thousands that go to that racetrack. Just think about that. That's some scary stuff, man.
Yeah, and that was during race time down at 3:25 p.m. It was over a mile, 75-yard path near Gilbert Road. It had a maximum wind speed of 105 miles per hour. No one was injured, but dozens of trees, some over a foot in diameter, were uprooted, and a tin roof was peeled off a large barn. The Fulton County tornado touched down at 2:24 p.m. and covered about a half-mile swath of the Weather Service reports. The damage was on Earl Road and Route 29. No one was injured, and the wind speed was 85 miles per hour. On July 23rd, the National Weather Service says a tornado touched down in Yarmouth and then touched down again in Harwich. The maximum wind speed for the tornado was 110 miles an hour, which equates to an EF1. That was the tornadoes that touched down after 12:30 p.m. off of Cape Cod. And here's another little thing coming in from the National Weather Service. July 2019, the warmest month the world has experienced since record-keeping began more than a century ago. And, of course, now we have Dorian that's spinning around. And the Hurricane WatchNet has been up and running since Saturday.
I seriously think Mother Nature has lost her mind. I mean, we go from tornadoes and storms and sweating our butts off. I mean, this is one crazy, crazy summer. I can't believe this. I hate to see what the winter's going to look like. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, and with the winter coming up, we're going to take a break here, and then we're going to give you a little bit more information about the Hurricane WatchNet and do a little bit of some announcements. So we will be back.
Most impressive.
WTBR radar weather for the Pittsfield area. Today, partly sunny with a chance of showers and thunderstorms this morning. Then mostly cloudy with showers and thunderstorms likely this afternoon. Some thunderstorms may produce gusty wind and small hail this afternoon. Highs in the mid-70s. Southeast wind around 10 miles per hour, becoming southwest this afternoon. Chance of rain 60%. Tonight, partly cloudy. A chance of showers and thunderstorms in the evening. Patchy fog after midnight. Some thunderstorms may produce gusty wind and small hail in the evening. Lows in the lower 50s. Northwest wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. Chance of rain 30%. Thursday, patchy fog in the morning. Sunny. Highs around 70. Northwest wind around 5 miles per hour. Weather forecasts for WTBR-FM are provided by the National Weather Service.
There are many sounds in your daily life. Ones that make you smile. Ones that help you relax. And there are some sounds that can help save lives. Wireless emergency alerts, now on many mobile devices, use a unique sound and vibration to bring you critical information about emergencies in your area. With updates from local sources you know and trust, you can be in the know wherever you are. Learn more at ready.gov/alerts. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Wireless. You hear that word used a lot today. We have wireless telephones, wireless internet systems, wireless microphones. What it actually means is that they are radios. And who knows more about radios than amateur radio operators? Call them amateurs or call them hams. They know the modern wireless world. They helped create it.
Look at him, he's heading for that small moon.
That's no moon. It's a station.
I think you're right.
And we are back on WTBR FM Pittsfield. All right.
Welcome back, everybody.
Talking about the Hurricane WatchNet. For you amateurs that are listening, you know what it is. For the non-amateurs, the Hurricane WatchNet and the operation of WX4NHC at the National Hurricane Center in Miami are manned exclusively by volunteers. They activate whenever a system has achieved status and is within 300 statute miles of populated landmass at the request of the forecasters at the National Hurricane Center. To achieve mission goals, the HWN relies upon its members, experienced net controls. Some are seasoned ex-military and or Mars operators. Others have grounded their experience through public service roles. On average, there are 40 active members strategically located throughout the U.S., Canada, Mexico, Central America, and the Caribbean. To better assist those who speak Spanish only, HWN has a number of bilingual operators. And the frequencies, when they're activated, like they're activated now, even on shortwave, you can tune in on them. Non-hams can tune in and listen, and you get pretty good information. If there's any messages that are coming out of the Bahamas or coming out of the affected area, they will go through, hopefully, the Hurricane WatchNet, which is operating 24 hours a day. They're on HF. They're on the upper sideband, so if you have a single sideband radio or a sideband radio that's capable of USB and LSB, and you can get them pretty cheap off of Amazon or eBay. They're on 14,325 in the day and 7.268 at night if the propagation dictates. Daytime operations will be conducted on both frequencies simultaneously. Why do we state these frequencies without a plus or minus amount? Because those who are operating using marine radios have a program in the frequencies. Marine radios do not have a VFO or RIT. Furthermore, these two frequencies come programmed or pre-programmed into many marine radios. Many non-hams, and this show is dedicated to both hams and non-hams. Many non-hams listen in via shortwave radio and know this is where to find us, and we are activated. Before any other net activation, if either frequency is in use, we always ask permission to use them. Additionally, is our practice of being on the air ahead of the amateur radio stations at the National Hurricane Center, WX4 NHC, for the explicit purpose to establish our net operating frequency, to issue advisory data, and to line up reporting stations. It helps us tremendously to know the operators' locations, names, and weather measuring capabilities in advance of the storm's arrival. So there's that about the hurricane net. We'll take a break from all this Dorian stuff because I know, Jess, you have a couple little things that you wanted to put out today, so we're going to turn it over to you, and we'll take a little break here from all the stuff going on for Dorian, and get back to some actual other amateur radio news.
That is actually held on the 3rd. They announced it on the 3rd, but it's going to be on the 7th and the 5th, and it's going to be from the 7th till the 15th. For anybody that doesn't know, the Route 66 event is to celebrate the construction of Route 66. You're welcome to go ahead and to talk. You can be on air while you're on the exact route, or you live near the route, or basically anywhere. They would love to go ahead and hear you. For those that don't know, there are 20 stations that will be on the air along the route. 2 of them are rover stations on the highway between Santa Monica, California, and Chicago, Illinois. All 20 stations will be employing a 1x1 call sign, so anybody that would like to go ahead and get a hold of them, you can get them on CW. That would be 3.5 7.033, 10.110, 14.003. You can get them on single sideband. That would be 3.8 megs, 7.2 megahertz, 14.2 megs, 18.16. I mean, they're going to be all over the place. They're going to be all over the place on single sideband. They're going to be all over the place on CW. I mean, think about it, people. You got 20 stations participating in this event between the 7th and 15th. If you can't get a contact, keep trying. And don't get discouraged if you can't make any contacts in this hobby. I've seen my dad personally go ahead and do contests where he can't get a hold of people on the first try, and he keeps on going and keeps on going and keeps on going until he gets them.
And also, don't think because propagation is not working, and we'll give you a propagation report here in a little while, but you can still get on 20 meters. You can still get on most of these frequencies, even with bad propagation. And for your non-hams, now, we're not going to leave you out. Get a shortwave radio, listen to this stuff. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of ways as we walk down the line here and go on with these shows every week that you can be part of this. And if you want to get your license, we can help you do that. Also, if you want to be part of the show. I forgot to put this out. You can buzz us on our Facebook page, www.facebook.com/HamJamTV, and send us a message, and you can be part of the show here, and we'll get your comments or questions and things on the air. Continue.
And for people who are wondering that are not hams or wondering, what is this ham radio stuff that we're talking about? Very simple. Ham radio is in a lot of popular culture. Think about it. It's in the movie. Actually, if you watch Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines, at the end of the movie, John Connor hears somebody going ahead and calling for CQ, calling for help, calling for somebody to answer him. What is the person yelling and screaming on? They're screaming on a ham radio. They're trying to get anybody's acknowledgement that there is somebody out there. What's he do? He picks up the microphone and he says, I'm in charge. When the person asks who is in charge, he is. He's the last of humanity at that point. Think about it. It is in popular culture. All you got to do is just look. I mean, it's not only in just action movies. They have them. There's some comedy. There's some in anime for people that go ahead and people who watch anime. There's actually one anime movie. It's Ponya. A woman character, the main character's mother, goes ahead and talks to her husband on a ham radio. She even constructed her own antenna. I mean, that's some crazy stuff. They actually animated her constructing the antenna, turning the dial to 6 meters. She turned the dial. You can actually see that they animated that she turned the dial to 6 meters to talk to her husband that's on a fishing boat in order to tell him how she's doing, how the kids are doing. I mean, come on.
And let's not forget, Last Man Standing.
Oh, yes.
Tim Allen is actually a licensed amateur radio operator.
Yes,
and
yes,
so
he
is the new kid that plays Boyd.
Yeah.
The station is a working amateur radio station, and during the breaks in filming, they actually go up on the air, and you can make contacts with Last Man Standing set. They even have a club now, KA6LMS, I think it is. And,
yeah, it is.
And you can get a QSL card from them. And you know, this hobby, there's a lot to this. As she was saying, it's not just Hurricane WatchNet, and it's not just trying to make contacts with HF. Even on your technician license now, there's so much you can do. On your technician license, which is kind of the easiest one to get, it's 35 questions, and you get everything 30 megahertz and above. And a lot of people are actually going over, and we'll have a show about this coming up in the future on DMR. And on your tech license on DMR, you can talk to the world, especially, and I say it all the time, especially the way conditions are now, the coronal hole, and I think the solar winds are like 700 miles per hour coming at Earth. But
that's crazy.
And you can listen. You know, you can get your license. It's not hard. It's a fun hobby. There's a lot you can do. There's a lot of public service events coming up. In fact, the Fall Foliage Parade is coming up October 4th.
Oh, yes it is.
And we'll have
Can't
a guest.
wait.
We'll have a guest on the show here at the end of the month that will talk about the Fall Foliage Parade. Anyway, anything you're into, if you're into science, there's something for you. If
there is.
If you're into computers and internet, there's something for you.
Actually, without ham radio, there wouldn't be any computers or internet, because actually the way the internet was made was because of ham radio. Yes, look that up. Internet was invented by a ham radio operator. For those of you that do not know, without those people coming up with that idea, we wouldn't have internet. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and there's a lot of things. In fact, I was just looking up and I'm trying to find it in my notes here, but there is. I'll find it when she gets back to her talk points. But there's a lot of things you can do, and you can listen in. In fact, if you have a scanner, you can listen into the K1FFK Mount Greylock repeater, which is up here in North Adams, where I do a lot of net controlling.
Oh, yes, you do.
I'm the Cycle 1 net manager.
And it has, and for those of you that haven't been there, it's beautiful. It has a beautiful, beautiful monopole. You got to see this thing. It is beautiful. It is huge. The view is awesome.
You have.
Sorry to interrupt.
That's fine. This is what this is about. You have any more announcements over there you wanna?
No, I don't think I do. Well, I have announcements. So if you want,
we can do that in a few minutes.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to put this out because I found this interesting. Even I didn't know this. But here's something for you. British Columbia radio amateur Alex Schwartz, Victor Echo 7 Delta X-ray Whiskey, said that on Independence Day, the magnitude 6.4 earthquake in California's Mojave Desert and multiple aftershocks negatively affected HF propagation on the U.S. West Coast. Schwartz, who maintains the RF seismograph, and we'll get into what that is, and has drawn a correlation between earthquake activity and HF band conditions, said the radio disruption began at around 1600 UTC on July 4th and continued into July 5th. He said that on July 4th, the blackout was total except for 20 meters, where conditions were severely attenuated. Schwartz said the RF seismograph also detected the magnitude 7.1 earthquake on July 6 in the same vicinity. Schwartz reported the distance between the monitoring station in Vancouver, British Columbia, and the quake's epicenter is 1,240 miles. Things are back to normal after the strong quake as far as the ionosphere is concerned, but the unrest has not stopped yet. Schwartz told the ARRL. And you're listening to Ham on WTBR FM Pittsfield. Now, everybody's out there scratching their heads, and I know there's hams out there scratching their heads going, what is a HF seismograph? I'm going to tell you. Alex Schwartz, VE7DXW in British Columbia, Canada, is exploring the possibility that RF signatures detected by an RF seismograph propagation tool could also be indicating earthquakes and may even, Caltech, are you listening? And may even be able to predict them shortly before they occur. A real-time HF propagation monitoring tool developed by Schwartz and the MDSR team, the RF seismograph shows both band noise and activity, or band activity alone, on 6 HF bands. It's a project of the North Shore Amateur Radio Club. We have been doing the solar eclipse experiment, and we developed the RF seismograph software to look for changes in propagation during the eclipse. Schwartz explained, after the eclipse, we decided to leave the RF seismograph running, and we have now collected 4 years of data. The system uses an omnidirectional multiband antenna to monitor JT65 frequencies on 80, 40, 30, 20, 15, and 10. Recorders monitor the background noise and display the result in 6 color-coded long-duration graphs displaying 6 hours of scans. When signals are present on the band, its graph trace starts to resemble a series of vertical bars. Most recently, the RF seismograph recorded a magnitude 7.5 earthquake in Ecuador on February 22nd. Schwartz recounted that the noise on 15 meters began to be visible about 1 hour before the quake. Then 2 hours after the quake released, 15 meters started to recover. The U.S. Geological Survey said the quake was about 82 miles below ground. It did not affect 80 meters. Schwartz speculated that the quake was easy to see on the RF seismograph because 15 meters typically is not open during hours of darkness, especially when the solar flux is only 70. Following a magnitude 5.0 earthquake off the coast of Vancouver Island, his RF seismograph picked up changes. Canada's government-run earthquakes. Canada was able to provide Schwartz with a list of magnitude 6.0 or greater events since the RF seismograph went into operation. And the two teams have been collaborating to find a correlation between HF propagation anomalies and earthquakes. With the measurements, Schwartz has been attempting to find a correlation between the list of past geological events and what his HF seismograph may have sensed on these occasions. The earthquakes show up as RF noise because of the electric field lines, now scientifically confirmed to change the way the ionization reflects RF. Schwartz says he cited an article in the October 2018 edition of Scientific American, which he says explains it very well. It's called, if you want to see the article, it's the Scientific American, October 2018, page 44. It's Eric Vance's Earthquakes in the Sky. The Scientific American article explores measurements in Japan looking into how earthquakes can create electric field lines that extend into the atmosphere. Could they be used to detect earthquakes before they cause damage on the planet? Schwartz said 171 earthquakes, all magnitude 6.0 events or greater, were studied, and only 15 of them had no RF noise associated with them. In 26 cases, the time of the disturbance detected by the RF seismograph failed to match the USGS reported time of the quake. Schwartz said that in 72% of the earthquake studies, the RF seismograph was able to detect an increase in noise on 80 meters, typically before and after the event. More analysis is needed. Schwartz has concluded the study is still continuing, and we need your help to set up the monitoring stations. RF seismograph is now a project on SciStarter.com, facilitated through the Arizona State University. Schwartz said SciStarter hosts interesting projects for all ages and backgrounds and provides a vehicle for young people that are interested in science to get real-life experience in the field. So amateur radio is playing a big part, and your background, you people in science, people that like the internet, they build these things and they add these things to the ham radio community. Even if you're not in ham radio, you get a shortwave radio, even you CB people. Let's kind of segue into CB here just for a minute. Most of the ham operators, don't let them fool you, we're CB radio operators. To start with, you know who you are.
You being one of them.
I was never in the CB. Never.
You lie. You lying dog.
That's why I do radio, right? But yeah, and it could lead to stuff like this. You could be sitting in the WTBR studio and then do your own show. This is kind of fun. This is Ham On WTBR FM Pittsfield, and I guess we have some. We'll go to we'll take a break here, and then we'll go and we'll do some announcements.
Most impressive. Impressive. Most impressive.
Berkshire weather.
WTBR radar weather for the Pittsfield area. Today, partly sunny with a chance of showers and thunderstorms this morning, then mostly cloudy with showers and thunderstorms likely this afternoon. Some thunderstorms may produce gusty wind and small hail this afternoon. Highs in the mid-70s. Southeast wind around 10 miles per hour, becoming southwest this afternoon. Chance of rain 60%. Tonight, partly cloudy. A chance of showers and thunderstorms in the evening. Patchy fog after midnight. Some thunderstorms may produce gusty wind and small hail in the evening. Lows in the lower 50s. Northwest wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. Chance of rain 30%. Thursday, patchy fog in the morning. Sunny. Highs around 70. Northwest wind around 5 miles per hour. Weather forecasts for WTBR FM are provided by the National Weather Service.
Hi, this is Officer Darren Derby with the Pittsfield Police Department. We all have busy lives and we're in a hurry to get where we need to go. While driving, people are eating, drinking, talking, putting on makeup, doing their hair, checking social media, texting each other, all while the dog sits on their lap. The result is running red lights, stop signs, speeding, and finally crashing. Distracted driving is illegal. You can be ticketed or criminally charged. Please share the road and pay attention. Let's make sure everyone gets where they're going safely. This message is brought to you by the Pittsfield Police Department in cooperation with WTBR FM.
You put your keys between your knuckles. Someone approaches you and you cross to the other side of the street. You lock the door behind you, maybe twice. Now you feel safe. You think you've made the right choices to protect yourself. Think again. Because if you're not eating right, if you're not active, or if you smoke, you're putting yourself at risk for disease. Learn to protect yourself from yourself at everydaychoices.org. A message from the American Cancer Society, American Diabetes Association, American Heart Association, and the Ad Council.
Diabetes is a killer. After I was diagnosed, I had no pain. I didn't feel sick, so I didn't listen to my doctor. Then it struck. I had a heart attack, then a stroke, and I was only 49. If only I'd known. If only I'd listened.
People with diabetes are 2 to 4 times more likely to suffer a stroke than people without diabetes. And many who survive are severely disabled. You can reduce your risk of stroke by lowering your blood sugar, blood pressure, and cholesterol. You should also talk to your healthcare provider about taking aspirin. And if you smoke, get help to quit. To learn more about reducing your risk of stroke, call 1-800-DIABETES for your free diabetes survival guide.
It's not too late. Don't let diabetes destroy your life.
A message from the American Diabetes Association and the American College of Cardiology.
WTBR.
Okay, people, time to disperse. Party's over.
And we are back on WTBR FM Pittsfield. You have some announcements, I guess you wanted to tell the world, or at least the broadcast area. So maybe the world, maybe the broadcast area. Who knows? Who knows who's listening? Listen online here on WTBRFM.com. You can listen to us online. And this show will be at some point put on PCTV on 1301. I'm sure they'll tell me when that will happen, and we'll post that on
I'm pretty sure they will.
We'll post that on our Facebook page. So go ahead and take with your announcements.
First of all, I have a story that I found interesting. There was a demonstration of the emergency message system at W1AW.
Do you know what W1AW is?
W1AW.
W1AW is the amateur radio station over in Newington, Connecticut, which is the headquarters of the Amateur Radio Relay League. That's their main station there. So,
thank you, Matt.
This is why we have non-hams on the show. We can explain this stuff. I look across the desk here and explain this stuff, and hopefully the people out that are listening to us will get this as well.
I kind of knew it. I didn't really, and I'm glad I had you to explain it to me. Thank you. The demonstration was a mock response to a simulated disaster scenario that was, here's the irony of it, a major hurricane. During the event, amateurs at portable stations delivered message traffic to W1AW, which coordinated and delivered the information to officials attending a Red Cross and FEMA meeting in Baltimore, Maryland. About a dozen stations participated, and including operators in Maine, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, New York, Northern New Jersey, Western Pennsylvania, Delaware, South Carolina, and Virginia. They went ahead and delivered all of these messages. Even though it was mock, they still did it as real. They delivered all these messages. They got them to Baltimore in a timely manner, and they did it faster than expected. And here's the thing, for you non-ham people, sometimes you can't get a hold of your loved ones on the phone or through Messenger or anything like that. I mean, it happened in Puerto Rico. People during Hurricane Maria, they couldn't get to their loved ones. They couldn't get out phone calls because phone lines were down. Who helped them? Ham radio operators. Ham radio operators went ahead and got these messages out to these loved ones. And it's incredible.
Yeah, during Hurricane Maria, over 7,000 health and welfare messages went one way from the Puerto Rican islands to the mainland U.S. through amateur radio operators. When all else goes down, when you lose your little repeater up there on top of Mount Greylock, and we have a major problem here, the hammer radio operators will go out there. The Force of 50 went out to Maria. We had radios provided by the ARRL, and we sent health and welfare messages. Some of us sent health and welfare messages. Some of us went with the power companies, and we're communicating back and forth. All the towers, cell phone towers were down, and everything was down.
I mean, if it wasn't for the ham radio operators, nobody would be able to get anything out. I mean, it's just crazy. And I thank them every day for their service. It's services like these why we need help and acknowledgement into the ham radio field. I mean, some of the best people I have met are ham operators. I mean, when we were looking, we just moved here about a year ago, actually. Without them, we wouldn't have a new home or anything like that. It was actually a couple of ham operators that took us in and helped us.
Yeah, this is a community. Once you're into this, we've helped out a lot of people. We've done antenna raising parties. We've helped out with radios. And on that note, in 2 Red Cross, and this comes out of Springfield, 2 Red Cross volunteers trained in disaster relief departed for Florida Friday so they can be in place when Hurricane Dorian lands. They are being staged pre-landfall, so they will be on the ground and ready to do their jobs. The volunteers, one from Westfield and the other from Holyoke, are flying into Orlando, and it's not yet clear where they will be deployed from there. Other Western Massachusetts volunteers are on standby to depart as needed after the hurricane has passed. If it is going to be as bad as they say, they will expect to have a call for more trained volunteers. But even ham radio operators are trained, and they will go out there. Like I said, during Maria, I'm sure all the hams know this, but during Maria, we had the Force of 50 that got called up from the ARRL, and we flew out to Hurricane Maria to take care of health and welfare messages going out and go with the power company so they could talk back and forth, because everything was decimated. And this is what we do. Whether it's public service events like the Fall Foliage Parade or the Judge Billing Run, or if you're in New York State listening to us, the Pumpkin Patrol, which is coming up. This is what we do. Or if we're at the Hurricane Center in Miami, or if we're sitting on our radios. I know I was listening to the Hurricane Watch Net, and I think the one guy that opened up the net on Saturday night was there till like Monday afternoon.
Oh, wow.
48 hours of it. And the Hurricane Watch Net is still going, and there's VoIP frequencies, which I keep trying to bring up and keep skipping over it. But there's all kinds of frequencies that if you want to listen to the Hurricane Watch Net or be a part of it, it's on 20 meters, 14,325 during the day, and then 7268 at night. It may vary. 80 meters is on 3.815. If you have DMR, you can go into the 31012 talk group. Excuse me. On the Echolink, and you hams know what Echolink is. You can go into the conference WX dash talk node 7203, or the Echolink alternate conference VKEMCOMM IRLP node 9219, alternate node 9508 or 9123. So that's what's going on. And Dorian's still spinning. And the Red Cross, I guess, what's going on? I guess last thing that the Prime Minister is looking to get some help down there, and the Red Cross is trying to get down there. And it's been a wild summer, and we got 9:51. We're actually making it through the hour. We got a ton of stuff to talk about. Maybe stuff for next week. Next week is going to be we're going to have a guest in here. We'll see women in amateur radio. 15% of the amateur radio community are women. We want to try to up that. And you people sitting on the fence listening to WTBR FM right now saying, should I become an amateur radio operator? You should.
Mm-hmm.
There's
peer pressure.
No, not peer pressure. No, let's not do peer pressure.
I'm just kidding.
Let's not do peer pressure. But it doesn't cost. I mean, it kind of costs depending upon where you go. I'm not going to lie to you. Some of this stuff can be really expensive, but you can get on with your technician license. Okay, it's $15 to take the test. You can study online, and it's 35 questions, and they're relatively.
And there's no rush on the study, and you study at your own pace.
Right. And you can go on eBay or you can go on Amazon and get a nice HT or get a DMR HT. We're going to have a discussion on one of our shows about digital mobile radio and what it is and what it does. In a nutshell for today, so I don't want to send a lot of people. Yeah, we're going to send that to you. For today, we're not going to get too technical today. We're trying not to get technical at all, but it's
sometimes you have to in this hobby. Sometimes you have to. Sometimes you don't. It depends.
Yeah, it's a mode where pretty much you're using the internet links to hundreds of repeaters across the world, and you can literally talk across the world sitting in your easy chair and hitting your DMR. We'll get into a big discussion about that in one of the episodes. But
I can't wait, actually.
You had something that you wanted to.
Oh yeah, yes. We have some local ham fest and a ham expedition coming up. We have a ham expedition at Boxborough. At Boxborough, the AARL New England Division Convention is held September 6th through the 8th. It'll be held at the Boxborough Regents Hotel and Conference Center in Boxborough, Massachusetts. It'll be top-notch forums. They'll talk all 3 days. You can find them in the large exhibit hall. There's going to be a flea market for those of you that are attending. So, bring your money. Whoopsie. There we go. It will be held Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Sunday, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. There's going to be prize drawings. Friday is a DX contesting. There's going to be dinner. They're going to have a special guest. Adrian, I can't really pronounce the last name, so Lord help me here.
Just do the best you can with it. We'll figure
I can't
it
pronounce
out.
the last name worth anything. Call sign, however, is KOASCA. So you can look up, for the ham operators, you can look up your call and look up that call sign and see who's coming.
QRZ.com.
Saturday is the grand banquet for which is going to have Dan Barstow. For those of you that don't know, his call sign is KA1ARD. He's Senior Educating Manager for the International Space Station National Lab. So that ought to be wonderful. Yes, for those of you that don't know, and for non-hams that don't know, you can talk to the International Space Station with your radio. There's going to be a ham radio boot camp also. So there's a lot of stuff. $5 fee for those that want to go. That's awesome. The one in Saratoga. It's going to be at the fairgrounds in Boston Spa. Actually, that's where our host, KD2JKV, got his. So the gates will be open at 7 a.m. Will be open at 7 a.m. VA session at 8:30 a.m. The VA session will be off-site. It is $7 per person. Bring your tickets from Boxborough on Saturday and get in a half price. For information, get a hold of K2DLL on the K2DLL repeater. Get in touch with Jim, KG2H at AARL.net.
Impressive. Most impressive.
Sorry about that.
Okay. We had to
I
put down that. All right, we have a couple minutes. Real quick for the last couple of minutes. Next week, Darlene Mattice will be here. We're going to talk about women in amateur radio. That's the 11th. On the 18th, we'll have Marcia Ford, who's the section manager or section traffic manager for Massachusetts. She's going to come in from Concord, and we're going to talk about what she does and what that's all about. And a special show on the day before Halloween, October 30th, where we have some paranormal investigators.
Oh, I can't wait.
That will be in studio. And we'll be talking about their toys, EMF stuff,
Yeah, and the stuff that they use in investigations is actually ham related.
Yeah, because a lot of the stuff we use to check magnetic fields and how the transmission patterns of our antennas are going. That takes care of September. October 9th will be another very special show. That we're going to kind of change our format here real quick. It'll be a John Lennon special. We'll be playing a lot of stuff for John Lennon and his birthday. So this is Ham On. We'll see you next week on WTBR FM Pittsfield Community Radio.